Good morning, 2020. And I had a fun little thought, and I don't know where it's going, but I feel like God is going to give me some revelation of how that affects us accomplishing what He's called us for in 2020. My hair was up in a ponytail. I was kind of fixing the front part of my hair before walking out, and I thought, okay, I was basically trying to cover my gray, and I was thinking, I'm framing my face. I just started to see how we frame things in life. We all have our own frames, and really everything we do is about framing. It seemed, and then I walked to the car and I thought, you know what, isn't that interesting? It's 2020. It's been obviously lots of words about, seeing clearly and having 2020 vision. And I thought, well, kind of connected to that would be frames, right? We all have picture frames, things that we feel are worthy of making the frame. But we could go like a trillion places with this. In movies, there's frames, and so much now with media, framing your life. And so I thought, Lord, what does that mean? And what does that look like for 2020? What does that look like for me? What does that look like for you? And then I realized that there was a verse that really popped out at me this morning. I'm reading in Genesis. I'm already 5 days behind in my 1-year Bible, but that's okay. I did like 3 days this morning. But this verse struck me. It said He sent Adam out to cultivate the ground from which he was made. And in light of this kind of walk with me in 2020 to kind of kickstart your year, let's go, I thought, isn't that so interesting? Because that's part of what I feel my message is. You know what? We all have ground. We all have soil. We all have stuff. And instead of maybe framing it in a certain way or pretending it doesn't exist, incorporating it into your life, saying, I've got all this craziness going on, but how can I make hay? How can I utilize the things that are imperfect to actually do something amazing for God? My husband had a business project, and they would test the soil to see what was the quality of that soil. And I thought, isn't that so interesting? So it's kind of like you could take a test of that ground or that soil. Great time, beginning of a year, kind of evaluating where that's at. But I think our tendency is to want to frame it in a way that's perfect. And we lose something in the story in that. It's kind of like work with what you got. That's really what I'm trying to do. And that's my message to you of hope. Don't get debunked by your realities that are challenging. Incorporate them into your story. Be creative and be resourceful. Just yesterday, I thought, great, I'm going to take my computer. I'm trying to log into my computer, and actually the T wasn't working. And since my name is Tracy, I was like, I couldn't sign into, I couldn't use my email to sign in. And I thought, okay, going around the house, figuring out. And then Rachel says, well, didn't want to say anything, Mom, but somebody spilled some water on your keyboard. And I thought, okay, here we go. That's the thing is I feel like actually my tools sometimes are not the best. And sometimes I feel like, okay, God, I was really pumped up for this year to do the writing and like, okay, now my laptop, which is like an ancient dinosaur. Now the keyboard doesn't work. By God's grace, actually, we realized, okay, we could attach a different keyboard. So now when I go to write, I have this clunky laptop, and then I also have to bring a big chunky keyboard so that I can write. But it's okay. It's okay because you know what? I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm moving towards something, and I'm having fun doing it. So 2 quick little things come to me. One is that soil is just loaded with just millions of little stuff, bacteria or whatever's in this soil. And none of it you can see. It looks like a bunch of mud to you, but it's rich. It tells a story. And the second thing is that God's frame for you is much bigger. We want to create sort of a box around our life. But what I've learned is that moving again, this is kind of what I've been saying, moving towards a goal, but being very open. The Lord looks down from heaven and the world is His frame. There is nothing apart from His reach in your life. So be of good cheer. Go get 'em, 2020. So maybe we need to be a little less critical of our frames and recognize the beauty in the imperfect. And it's super important to say that the ground from which you were made is your ground. And there's no one better to cultivate it than you. You know it, you can own it, and you can create something that's beautiful from that no one else can create. God has absolutely framed in your life tiny details like the amazing soil and all of the things that are in it. God has put in your life some intricate, tiny details that only you can mine. And he also has put eternity in you, the expanse. So he's in the small and he's in the big. It doesn't always look perfect, but it can look awesome. By all means, let God frame your life. And let that gray hair, don't try to cover over it. Let it be your wisdom. In the natural, feel free to color it any color that looks good on you. But know that out of that stuff that doesn't always make the picture frame comes some of the best stuff in life. And trust God to see what's going to happen and trust Him to use it to bring about a glorious, beautiful story. Let God frame your life. I can't help but think of Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let it all be a picture of God's goodness as He restores, He renews, He recreates in you something that is like nobody else in the whole world. Your uniqueness, your story, it's beautiful. Truly, the best is yet to come. Thanks for walking with me in 2020. I'm not sure this is going to make the video, but it just may. So I'm trying to get to the car, and I'm doing this right here by the car, and two of my little people come out, and one opens up the back of my big 15-passenger van and starts climbing in. The other is climbing on the front hood. And I'm trying to think, okay, God, what are you saying about framing? And so, work with the chaos, be flexible, and grace. I need grace. You need grace. Grace is always the integral part of every message. I just felt like I should record this today and show my sweet little guy, because I was recording and he threw that big stick at me, but the door was open. It kind of went under the door and it didn't hit me, but I said, "Simeon, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mommy. The sun was in my eyes."